Okay, so we just got a little bit of a intermediate lesson here, and basically, I'm just going to show you a few other little things, little shapes that you can mess around with based on the cuts that we've already learned. I probably could have started with these, and then the spiral could have been like, extra credit kind of deal. Um, but, basically we're just going to do like a little ball, and then, like a square kind of deal, and um, just something else for you to mess around with. And I'm sure you guys can come up with a few other things to do on your own. But just showing you a few other things, it just to kind of show you that you can use your imagination. Or even if you don't have much of imagination, you can just start cutting and stick with it, and you kind of end up with some sort of geometry going on. And if you round it off, it'll look okay. So I'm also, what I'm doing right here is ending the spiral, and you can do that in a few different ways. And if you go do a search on the internet for pictures on architectural spiral column, then you'll see kind of different ways that people handle it. You can have it basically either end into itself, where it just tapers off into a flat part, or you can have it look like it's entering into the next object. I know it sounds the same, but it's just kind of how you deal with the tail and where it goes. It'll look like either it's cut off or like it's getting smaller until it goes into this little crack that the last coil made. So anyway, I'm just kind of basically making a little cuts all around here to finish it off. And actually, when I got to the other side, I'm really bad at measuring stuff. I mean, I don't measure stuff, first of all, and then I'm really inconsistent, so I often end up having to kind of work with what I've messed up. But that often can create some fun surprises, so I just roll with it. So anyway, so it was a little bit off, but that's okay, because on your first cut, your little V cut around there, it's thin, and if you're gonna, you just make the whole thing bigger to swallow up both of your unmatched sides when you're going around. Okay. All right, then we're gonna start doing some little V cuts down here. Now I'm gonna be doing a ball right here, and again, I really don't like to measure stuff. But if you feel like it's necessary, you could always do a little bit of a measurement. Spheres work geometrically. It's about as, if you want it to be perfect or mildly perfect sphere, the however wide your piece of wood is, or that you think it's going to be, that's how also high it should be. Now I'm starting a little bit longer than with the width of this, and that's to give me a little bit of leeway. Because you can always shorten up the ball, but you can't really elongate it, which is always going to be the rule in wood carving, of course. You can never really add wood, so you try to always practice having a little bit of extra wood, and then just try to keep it in mind, the shape that you're trying to make in the long run. I know for me, I have a hard time leaving extra wood because I really want to see what things are going to look like. So that's been a learning process for me, but I know not everybody's like that. Other people have more patience. It's been a consistent theme throughout my whole drawing career. So you can see here, just making a V cut down here. I mean, we're really already getting the ball right there. And if you hadn't measured the ball and maybe you went too short, then that's fine. You'll see after this I'll do some other shapes that look kind of like that. Just keep going with it, and then round it up and see what it is. And if it looks a little bit like it's not a pattern or something, or it's not meant to be there, then do 2 or 3 more of them that look just like that. And then it will look like a pattern, or it's meant to be there. And if if you make one that's too small, and then the next one you try to make it the same like that, and it's bigger, then that's fine. Then make another one and make that one a little bit bigger, so that it's a little, the sizes are getting bigger and bigger on them. So just basically that you just try to follow rules of math, kind of. and not specific, adding and subtracting, but all of visual arts, there is a lot of geometry in there, and so when you don't have something that's already planned out in your head, some master idea, aesthetically pleasing something rather, then you can just kind of follow certain rules. And oftentimes following, some kind of consistent rules will get you something looking decent. Um, and that's also what happens with the spiral. That you just kind of start with something small and you just keep with it, and it'll eventually, have an interesting look and look like you planned the whole thing in one thought. Um, and if some of you, when you did your spiral, you had it getting a little bit bigger, as long as you let it keep getting bigger as it goes, it'll look like you planned it, and it's fine. Now later when you're carving stuff that's maybe not so geometric, like faces and stuff, some of it still crosses over. It gets more complicated, but whenever you're doing stuff in art or craft, there is that kind of, you just have to own whatever's going on. If you don't feel like you have the knowledge of anatomy or the detail or whatever you're trying to do, if you just kind of work with what you have and you just have a little bit of different viewpoint on it, that's what really makes the difference. Wood carving really brings this out in people. I've seen so many times guys that just they're not very good at drawing or other kinds of arts, and they make wonderful carvings. And really, I have a pretty extensive art background. It's about as much as you can get, and that's really, it's not. People get the wrong idea when I'm talking about carvings. They're like, I don't have any art background, and it gives the wrong idea again, because I'm really more of the exception to the rule. Wood carving is not something that's like a huge, like, you need to know a lot of art. I don't know. There's just something about it that a lot of people, they get these stylized, kind of forms going on, and it's just, really beautiful stuff. And that's what art is. It's not getting something exactly right. We have cameras. We don't need that. The whole point of art is to project into reality what the language that our minds use to perceive the world. So that's what's so special about it. When you see, somebody's made some art, a person, and it doesn't look real and it looks very stylized, that's the magic of it, that we do understand what it is, even though it's not exactly right. It's always going to be a drawing, it's always going to be a carving, it's not going to be reality. And the more you're okay with that and dive into that whole spectrum, the better off you're going to be. So I am rambling because there's not a whole lot to talk about in this video footage here. Again, all the cuts we kind of already went over. I'm just trying to make a little ugly totem stick here, and so I made a little square there. Some of you guys might have started with square wood, so that may not be very exciting for you. And making the round stuff is maybe more fun. So. In here, I kind of started with a bit of making a circle, just two V cuts on each side, and then I made a V cut in the middle, and I'm going to make some pancakes. I'm not sure what they're called, and I don't know, whatever. And it's the same sort of deal. Although you can see here, it would have been better to start that middle cut first before I did the bottom one. But if you could practice it like this, it's a good time to practice it. Because there's wood missing on both sides, it's very fragile. It's very easy to peel up a piece of the wood that's on these kind of peaks. The peaks of the pancakes, or I guess it'd be the edges of the pancakes. Yeah, and also that's another thing in carving, is the order in which you carve stuff can always make things much more easy, sometimes more economical, and sometimes more possible. And by more possible, I mean possible. So there's your little pancake, square, circle. And hopefully you guys can have some fun with those, maybe do some other little designs. Okay, and this is just some bonus footage. Again, did another recording, didn't really like it. It's just too hard to capture good detail of me carving these smaller dowels. I mean, those are probably the ones that you guys should be working on. But you know, whatever's easier for you guys. Maybe it's easier for you to see a bigger dowel as well. So anyway, this wood is also a little bit harder, and I was having a problem with my X-Acto knife. And let me just remind you that we're using X-Acto knives because it's easy to change the blade out for a new one. You don't have to sharpen. So if you're getting frustrated or you have any question in your mind or you just think about it, go ahead and switch the blade to a fresh one and you know, see if it helps at all. And then try to keep track of which ones you've used and which ones you haven't. And then also keep some of the used ones. We're going to be using them in one of the next projects when we make our own knife. We're going to make a handle for one of these blades, and it'll make it a little better to use. Alright, so hope you guys had fun, and be safe carving, and I will see you next time.